This is meteorologist Tim Root with your KLEK 102.5 forecast. Partly to mostly cloudy, showers and a few thunderstorms expected, and the high this afternoon in the mid-80s. Clouds and showers and thunderstorms overnight, the overnight temperature in the low 70s. The chance of showers and thunderstorms will continue over the weekend. They'll be isolated, though. The best chance will be Sunday. Partly sunny over the weekend. High Saturday and Sunday, about 82 to 88. Educating, entertaining, and empowering Jonesboro. We're KLEK 102.5 FM.
From Feature Story News, I'm Natalie Powell with your latest world news. After days of threats that have been ramping up between North Korea and the US over Pyongyang's plans to fire missiles near the US territory of Guam, the US Defense Secretary says he still hopes to solve the crisis through diplomacy. The EU's Food Safety Commissioner has told Belgian and Dutch officials to stop blaming and shaming over an ongoing egg scandal. And the number of migrants arriving in Spain by illegal sea routes has trebled in the last year.
It's 9:01.
Community Conversations is brought to you by Arkansas Early Learning, offering no-cost childcare in Jonesboro and Northeast Arkansas. Applications at arearlylearning.org.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
KLEK LP Jonesboro, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. It's now time for Community Conversations, a program focusing on the people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place, while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.
Still have to work tomorrow, so they say, what's the big deal? So anyway, but it's Friday here for us in the studio, and I've been looking forward to this. And I've been looking forward to this topic today. Our very special guest on Community Conversations is Mr. Chris Earnhart from Arkansas State University. Good morning.
Good morning.
He is, when I almost said professor, he works in the faculty center, and he does some professional development and some other things with the staff at Arkansas State University. Yes. So I'm going to let Mr. Chris tell you a little bit more about himself, since this is his first time in the studio.
Yeah, so hello everybody. My name is Chris Earnhart, and like she said, I work at the Faculty Center at Arkansas State University. I'm also alumni from there. And we do professional development. We work with faculty on Blackboard courses. So it's a really good environment. It's a really good place, and I work with wonderful people. And I've managed to incorporate this mindful practice and meditation, which is something that's very special to me, and I've done for a long time into my job. So it's a great thing. My background, I'm not a professor, but maybe one day. But my background's in psychology and philosophy.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's a little bit about that side, and then I have other things I do. Musician, write music, and write poetry as well. You said that you write poetry,
yes,
so
I love to write. Yes.
And then I'm an active martial artist and teacher as well. So.
Okay, so what do you not do?
What do I not do?
Wow.
I don't know. I like to stay busy. I like to try to get the most out of life,
That's wonderful.
I'm always trying to search out things that I find interesting and appealing to me, and try to learn about them, and dissect them and see if I can use this information to maybe make me better, understand things more. So.
Okay, and so I'm glad you brought that up, because I was just thinking before the show, okay, the topic of mindfulness, we hear it, but do we understand it? Now, of course, the basic definition is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. Mm. A mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, used as a therapeutic technique. And it's interesting that you have a psychology background, so I'm sure you tie all of this in together.
Yes, I do. It's interesting. I started the practice of meditation long before I was ever in academia or in college or anything like that. So I actually came into the psychology undergrad program with kind of already preloaded with this way of thinking.
Okay.
And I came through it from the martial arts background, and I was always just very curious about how the human mind worked, and perception of events, because I noticed early on that two people could experience the same thing and take two very different meanings away from the same event. So, life is very much just a happening of things. We have a tendency to categorize life as this or that or whatever it might be, but in all actuality, life is really just a series of events that are happening to you, and it's how you internalize those things and then your response to them. It's kind of where the rubber meets the road. So mindfulness or a meditation practice is just that. It's allowing you to, instead of, I like to call it responding instead of reacting.
Okay.
Usually if someone, so a good example would be if you're driving and someone cuts you off. It's very tempted to get very angry and throw up all kinds of gestures and things like this. But that's a reaction. That's not a response.
Okay.
Is at least the way that I look at it. A response would be taking at least a split second to assimilate the event that just happened and then readjust yourself so you can maybe, again, respond in a more hopefully beneficial way for everybody involved.
It works. It really does. I thank the good Lord for meditation and yoga.
And I call it a practice. You'll hear me refer to it as a practice because it is just that. It's a practice. I mean, I've taught some faculty some meditation sessions, and I always have to keep telling them, like, look, I can show you techniques and I can explain things to you, but at the end of the day, if you're not practicing on a regular basis, it's not going to do anything. And I liken it to sharpening your axe. Every day you wake up, sharpen your axe with whatever you have to do. There's a quote, and I may misquote, but I think it's Abraham Lincoln, and he said, I think if you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe.
Oh wow!
And I like to look at life that way. I don't always achieve it. I'm not perfect, and I make a lot of mistakes, and I get flustered just like everybody else. But meditation is absolutely a tool that you can use again to sharpen that blade. And every day, maybe you can go out into the world and hopefully make yourself and everyone around you a little bit better off. With your emotions and just having a little bit more sense of control over yourself, I suppose.
So if each person takes some time each day to practice, just taking a moment and instead of like you said, reacting, take a moment, deep breath, and read, a line.
Yes.
And then proceed with your day.
Yes, absolutely.
We all might live in a happier place, instead of everyone's just going through life.
Yeah.
I guarantee you over half the population, as soon as they get up in the morning, before their feet hit the floor, okay, get dressed, go to work, got this meeting, got this presentation, I got to drop the kids off, the dog this, the cat,
Yes.
We have like 50 things going on before our feet even hit the floor.
Indeed. Yeah.
And so how important is it for us to take a moment or several moments and before our feet hit the floor, literally, okay, let me compartmentalize these things so I can hopefully have some fluidity to my day.
Yeah, no, of course. It seems, I think a lot of people tend to get stuck in this idea of it's either all this way or it's all this way. Okay. And what I mean by that is either, you're hard to the right or hard to the left. Okay. And not necessarily politically, but just, life is far more about the balance that happens in between the two extremes.
Oh, okay.
And so I think, waking up in the morning, there's a lot of different things that you can do. One thing I do for myself is the moment my eyes open, I try to just take a moment, take a few deep breaths, and I like to practice gratitude.
Okay.
So even just to myself, I'll say, I'll think to myself like, how is this situation the worst it could be?
Oh.
I don't think we ask ourselves that enough. So because if you're waking up in a bed and you have a roof over your head and you have food and maybe you have people that love you and you have friends and you have all these things.
Unless you've actually been there and seen that where people don't have these needs, you're not as humble to it.
Right. And it's hard to, because I think a lot of us are definitely insulated.
Right.
Some, and even me myself, I've had a good life. I can't really complain very much, but we all individually have struggles. Mm-hmm. And I think it also helps to not lash out at people, to keep in mind that every day somebody's fighting a battle that you don't know anything about. Everybody has their own struggles.
It's a collection plate.
Right.
But I think it's very small incremental things that we can do. I think that can really improve just overall quality of what I like to call experience. Okay. I like to use different. I'm very picky about words that I use because all of this very much is an experience.
Okay.
This is your nervous system is bringing in signals from all this, so it just is an experience. So how can you augment that experience? And I think things like waking up and practicing gratitude and just telling yourself, I'm thankful for this. Like, man, this I have, in the most simplistic way. Like, do you have a bed to sleep in, and do you have food? Oh, okay. Well, then you're not that bad off. Really, things could be far worse.
Yes.
So those are just a couple of things. But I think hitting the ground running, and I do it too sometimes, but I don't think it's always the best because I think we have far more time in our day than what we tell ourselves that we do. How much time do we waste on, say, social media or something like that?
God. I don't even want to answer.
Yeah, B&Q is not going there.
And it's not that there's anything. Again, it's not that there's anything wrong with any of it. It's just, and that's part of what mindfulness is being aware of the amount of energy that you're expending on a particular thing, and is it giving you the returns that you should need? And again, I'm talking all these things, and I'm telling this mainly for me because I've got all kinds of things that I've got to work out and work through and put together, and life gets me and gets stressful, and anxiety comes in. But again, the practice of mindfulness and knowing these things always helps calm me and center me in some way. It's not that there's a destination to get to. You don't get to a point. Anyone tells you that there's a destination to get to, I think, is slightly misleading you, because it is the path and the journey itself, not where you're going, because the destination is always liable to change.
Okay.
Amen.
So
where's the plate? Where's the plate, Q? Where's the plate?
So yeah.
Oh, wow, that is wonderful. I want to give some shout outs to those that are watching our live stream. Miss Sherry Thompson, Dr. Sharice Jones French, and she says, "Good morning, Chris is so cool."
Good morning, Dr. Sharice.
And Mrs. Viola Speed, thank you all for tuning in to our live stream this morning. And if anyone else has any comments or questions, please feel free to drop us a message in our live stream or give us a call at 870-277-1080. Now, I wanted to go back and talk about how you talked about we have more time than we think, and it's about refocusing, kind of, laying things out and just restructuring ourselves and our time. I had this idea, I'm in school, I'm taking online classes. That's going to require a set amount of time just to read, do my assignments, and turn them in on time. Well, I'm also working on a book, so I'm like, okay, am I going to really have time to do what I want to do in the time frame that I set for myself?
Right.
And also keep my grades up in school, and like that's kind of all I have going on. And then the radio station. So one thing's for sure, my time here is set. So everything else has to kind of be scheduled out around this.
Right.
Needless to say, I've put some work into my book, but then I've slowly put it aside. Like, okay, so how can I restructure my
it's funny. I'm laughing because you're talking about, you have this artistic project, essentially is writing this book, and I'm a musician. I've been a musician my entire life, and played in several bands and played a lot of shows and had a really good time doing it. But I've been attempting to write and put together some material, and it's taking me forever to do, and I'm having a hard time taking my own advice, finding the amount of time, the appropriate amount of time to sit down and write, edit, compose. There's a lot to it, because you have the lyrical component, but then you can't really have the lyrical component until you have the melodies, and you can't really necessarily have the melodies unless you have the music. At least that's my method. I need the music to let the music tell me what the melody needs to be, and then I go from there. So it's things completely get me at times, because I'm not the best at scheduling, but it is something I'm actively trying to get better at, and it's and I still credit that all back to a mindfulness practice. I mean,
Okay.
even though I'm falling short, or I feel that I'm falling short in that area, I'm still very aware of it, and I'm actively trying to push in a direction where I can get those things done.
I've got a question for y'all.
Okay.
Do you take a few minutes a day every day to do this?
To do work?
To work on your little side projects?
No, because lately my sleep schedule has been so
Me
off.
too. Me too.
I'm lucky to get 4 hours of sleep literally a day, and I'm either reading. Well, I probably get more, but I'd have to take a nap. I feel like a kid. I have to take a nap. So
I regret not taking nap time. I was one of the kids that would keep everybody up in the class.
Yeah, we should
that
reinstate nap times.
But because of my assignment requirements this semester, I spend quite a bit of time reading and then typing notes and then doing my discussion board.
Right.
So, no, I haven't put as much time into my own personal. And then again, there's that social media. So when I'm not reading, writing, I'm trying to relax my brain by scrolling through Facebook or Instagram.
Right.
I'm guilty of it, Q, just because you are, I promise
So
you.
that Facebook and Instagram time probably could be spent on writing my book.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm again so guilty of that. I really try to spend a little time every day, at least thinking about my creative endeavors.
Right.
So whether it's I'm writing lyrics in a notebook, or I'm
You're running it through your head.
or I'm running it through, or I have numerous recordings on my phone of material that I'm putting together, and I'll just listen to it as I'm driving and see if I can
Self-editing.
Yeah, self-editing. So I do try to work on some of it a little bit every day. I don't always do that, and see, and that's the thing too. Life is a dance, and you have to sometimes be able to go with the flow and make adjustments if you need to. I mean, you might be able to say, hey, I'm going to do this every single day, but sometimes life just happens. And you might not be able to get that task done, but you don't need to beat yourself up about it. That has been the number one issue that I've had with myself, is because I tend to kind of gang up on myself and say, man, you should be doing this, and you're not. And in all actuality, me doing that is wasting
Self-harm.
more time.
Self-harm.
It's self-harm, but it's also wasting more time, because the time that I'm spending thinking, oh God, I'm probably just sitting on my couch.
Okay.
Why can't I be writing? So again, I think a lot of this is just all about, it's a balancing act.
Okay.
There is nothing I have more disdain for in life than extremes. Extremes of anything. I mean, extremes of thought. I'm all this way because of this, or I'm all this way because of, it's like, no, man, there's this thing that happens in the middle it's this roundabout, this mental emotional roundabout that we all have to drive through, and sometimes it's not good to get completely stuck in this lane over here. I don't know if that's a good way to describe it, but
that's really
but
great.
you see what I'm saying, though. It's because we all know individuals that get so tunnel visioned and myopic in this one thing, and at some point it's a detriment. I mean, it's a good thing to specialize. It's a good thing to focus yourself and say, I'm going to get really good at this. That's a positive thing. But if you don't allow for wiggle room, that's what I'm saying, wiggle room. I mean, it's very important, I think.
This is when it'll all fall apart, in essence.
Yes.
If you're so focused on this one, you find yourself losing control of it all.
And I've been the victim of that far more than once.
So I want to get into, we have like about 3 minutes left in this segment, and we'll definitely spend more time on these topics when we come back. But getting into how to start getting your mind and body to connect through different activities such as breathing and yoga and anything that gets your body moving, but something you have to think about.
Yes.
You have to think about your movements. They have to be deliberate.
Yes.
They're not just random wild
Yes.
movements. So let's get into, a lot of people are doing yoga, and there's a lot of different types of yoga. I've seen some videos now. People are doing the yoga that's you're on these
Aero yoga, the suspension.
I have wanted to try that forever. My husband tells me I'm such a daredevil that I'd probably get up there and break my neck. And I said, well, honey, that's what life insurance is for.
it looks fun. I'm sure it's not for the it may be for beginners, but I'm sure they help you on a lot.
Oh yeah,
help you out through
of course,
along the way.
A good instructor.
And then there's the hot yoga, and where they heat the room up.
Yes, yeah.
That was one of the best. That was one of the best workouts I ever had. But hot yoga, yes. But my God, did I smell like a man when I got done. I went right home.
It's horrible, isn't it?
It is. Just the sweat pouring off of me. And I've never sweated like that a day in my life. I looked like but it was an awesome workout.
Okay. So I just want to, get your input on how, one, yoga is beneficial for your mind and body. Yeah. And two, how do these other forms of yoga, are they as beneficial depending on what you're trying to accomplish, really connecting your mind and body and helping you become more centered and focused.
Right. Well, I think when it comes to yoga, and I've been in and out of yoga for probably a decade now.
Okay.
And I grew up in a very, very small town that had, some dirt. We had dirt.
Okay.
That was about it. So all of this information I just had to seek out and almost train and teach myself.
Okay.
There are many different styles of yoga. You have the hot yoga, then you have the arrow yoga, and on the things so you're suspended. But then you also have, backroom yoga. You have Iyengar yoga. There's a lot of different things. Iyengar was the yogi that brought. In my opinion, yoga as we know it now in America, he brought it over, the way I understand it. So, but I came through the practice of yoga just through the practice of breath work and meditation and just sitting posture, very traditional sitting postures. And a lot of people, in Irina Kramstova, she, her and I were talking about how we...
I'm sorry. We're going to have to get ready to go to break.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so when we come back from our break, we're going to pick up our discussion talking about yoga, and then we'll get into some breath work. And also, Mr. Chris is proficient in martial arts, so he's going to share with us, how martial arts, the various forms, can also help us with our mind and body connection. So please do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Stick around.
All right.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
Are you spending one-on-one time with your kids? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. It's great to do things as a family, but children love it when they get mom or dad all to themselves. So carve out a little time with each of your kids as often as you can. Now that summer break is almost here, try to take off one day for each child during the summer. Take them on a special outing for the day. Doesn't have to be anything big. Have lunch together, toss the football in the backyard, walk around the mall. Use the time to really focus on your child. Listen to what each one has to say. Tell them how much you enjoy being with them. Praise them for the things that make them unique. Remember, your family first.
Family Minute is made possible by the Kappa Nu Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, a non-profit organization committed to service to all mankind. Kappa Nu Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha on Facebook and KNOMEGA1908.com.
Meineke of Jonesboro is now Starks Auto Service, a full-service auto repair and vehicle maintenance center offering engine and transmission repair, brake service, tires, oil changes, and more, performed by ASE certified mechanics. The all-new Starks Auto Service, 2813 South Caraway Road in Jonesboro, 870-204-7112. Starks Auto Service, Jonesboro.com.
Hello, I'm Officer Jonathan Hagens of the Jonesboro Police Department. One of the best decisions I ever made was to join the Jonesboro Police Department. Since joining, I've had the pleasure to give back, protect, and serve my community. Now I want to let you know about that same opportunity. The Jonesboro Police Department will conduct testing for the patrol officers at the Valley View High School. Applications are available online at jonesboropolice.com. The Jonesboro Police Department offers a competitive salary, health, and retirement benefits, top-of-the-line training, and most importantly, the chance to make a difference difference in the Jonesboro community. Join me in making Jonesboro a better place. The Jonesboro Police Department is an equal opportunity employer, and women and minorities are especially encouraged to apply. More information, 870-935-5657.
Applications are being accepted through September 7th, 2017. Applications are available at jonesboropolice.com. Support for KLEK is brought to you by
Fullness of Joy Ministries, 2120 Thorn Street, Jonesboro, under the direction of Bishop Adrian Rogers and co-pastor Susan Rogers. www.fjministries.org.
From the KLEK Community Calendar, Bethesda Worship and Healing Center presents Community Back to School event, August 12th, 2017, from 8 o'clock a.m. until 2 o'clock p.m. This event will take place at Parker Park in Jonesboro. There will be school supplies, food, haircuts, drinks, entertainment, and basketball games provided. There will also be members of the police department, local pastors, the fire department, and other members of the community present. There will also be a 3-point shootout, a dunk contest, and more. More information on donating school supplies and about this event is available at Daddy's Choice Barbershop, 2301 East Johnson Avenue in Jonesboro, Bethesda Worship and Healing Center, 2215 North Church Street, or at 870-761-4480.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. I'm your host, Quabila Harden, and my very special guest is Mr. Chris Earnhart from Arkansas State University. He works in the Faculty Center and does some professional development with the staff on campus. And he does a whole lot of other things, but that's just the general, the basis of what he does. Today we're talking about mindfulness and meditation and yoga and how to really make that mind and body connection and how to make the most of your time throughout the day and just get the most out of life in general, you know, without going through life so stressed and tightly wound and just, I don't know, you're at the point where you're about to lose it all. Like at any moment you're going to drop everything and it's going to be total chaos. So he's trying to help you get to a point where you're not at that point. You know. So when we left off, we were talking about yoga and how beneficial it can be for your mind and your body. So let's continue with that conversation.
Yeah. So I have far more experience in the world of martial arts than I do with yoga, but fundamentally I think they seek to attain the same goal.
Okay.
So I think before the break I was talking about I was from a very small town. So, you know, I, at a very young age, I got very interested in a lot of different ways of thinking. And that's what eventually what led me into philosophy and psychology. So I started seeking out books on, Tibetan Buddhism. I started seeking out books on, yogic practices, so I, would get books from BKS Iyengar, which is one of the first people to bring yoga over to America.
Okay.
And I would study the breath techniques, and because it was, I've always kind of had a scientifically thinking mind, so I wanted to see methods and practices so I could kind of reverse engineer these things.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I got into yoga. So I've taken some yoga classes, and we have some fantastic yoga studios here. Nirvana Hot Yoga is a great place, and they're all very beneficial. Yoga as it stands right now, I think, is slightly different and departed from traditional yoga. In the sense that it's just been Americanized. It's like anything else, But that doesn't take away from it. It's still very beneficial. But I just hope that yoga studios are still maintaining that breathwork meditation aspect because, and I like to use this imagery. Think of the mind as a kite.
Okay.
All right, and you're flying a kite. The breath is the string. So, to kind of go with that picture, the kite being afloat in the quagmire that is life and air, if you want to follow that, it can just take this thing wherever it wants to go. I mean, just like life, different emotions, different incidents can just take our minds and throw them, just this way, right? The breath is a thing that is physiologically, it's an autonomic thing. You don't think about your breathing. Your body just breathes. It's just there. You don't have to even be conscious for your body to breathe. It just happens because it's a survival instinct. However, it is one of the few autonomic things that we can somewhat control. So if you start thinking about your breathing, you can control how you breathe, like how deep you breathe in, how long you exhale, all these things. But if you're not thinking about it, the breathing still goes on. Just like the string on the kite is there regardless if you're trying to guide it or if you're just let it go and just wherever, you know. So the breath work of yoga, the breath work of martial arts training, it is a tether for your mind to connect back to your body.
Wow.
That's how I've came to look at it. So so I started off with yoga practice. I mean, when I was younger, I took, like a lot of people, taekwondo classes and things like this, and did reasonably well with that. And I stepped away from the martial arts for a while and got involved with music, and I'm still involved with music, but I was always involved in meditation. I was always involved in yoga. But I always did it by myself. I never had a teacher in the meditative tradition. It was just purely just me, trying to figure out the process, which took a long time. Because it's just different. You know what I mean? It's different from the way a lot of people think around here. It's different from certain methods. It's becoming far more popular. But just like in the modern world, you can go to Barnes and Noble and you can look at the magazine covers and you can see mindfulness this and mindfulness that and 7 steps to bliss and all these things, right? Which is great, but they don't call it meditation because of the religious connotations to the word meditation.
Oh.
Because you can say meditation, and some people around here might be like, "Oh, what's that? What are you meditating on?" But it's so it's just a kinder, gentler word, I think, for people to assimilate.
Okay.
And for the psychological community to use, which is fantastic. I mean, they should be doing it, but I've just always preferred to just call it what it functionally is and what it has been for millennia of human existence.
Okay.
Every culture in the world has some form of a meditation practice and some process or journey to the yogis call it nirvana, the Zen Buddhists call it satori, the Chinese Taoists call it wei wu wei, which means mind with no mind, I think, if I'm remembering the translation correctly, or act without acting, I think is what it is. So these are philosophies that really shaped my worldview, and then eventually I got back into martial arts, and I've been very heavy into that for the last several years. But yeah, so connection to the mind and the body is very important because you're using the breath and the nervous system and all these things to finely tune what you're experiencing.
Okay. So do you feel that when you practice more, making a closer mind and body connection and not allowing chaos to, get the best of you,
yes,
you can navigate this thing we call life a lot better and with a lot more ease. You're less stressed, you're less irritated, you're less, on edge.
Right. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's and it can be kind of tricky because it's not so much that you are less stressed as it are that you're not allowing yourself to be affected as much. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So I another philosophy that's really shaped my worldview is Stoicism. And some people may be familiar with it or not. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, he wrote Meditations. He was a Stoic thinker. Epicurus was a Stoic thinker. So I'm kind of a philosophy nerd, so I apologize. But no, the whole basic idea of Stoicism is recognize the things that you have control over.
Okay.
And those things are your emotions, your responses, your immediate internal dialogue, the things around you. And then also recognize the things that you have absolutely no control over.
Other people?
Yes. So other people's thoughts, emotions, actions, you don't have control over these things. And it's so easy for us, just as humans, to be very, very concerned with those things that we feel like we can't control. And I don't know why we're so obsessed with thinking we can control these things. So the idea of Stoicism is that be neutral. Just be totally neutral.
Okay.
And whatever comes at you, deal with it as it comes at you. Don't fixate on things. So there's an old Zen kind of it's not really a proverb, but it's like if you're living in the past, you're more likely to be depressed. If you're constantly ruminating on previous events, you're very, very likely, hindsight 2020,
right,
to possibly fall into some type of self-loathing depression type thing. And if you're constantly obsessing about the what if in the future and the things that may come, you can generate anxiety. And I say that from direct personal experience.
Yes, I suffer from anxiety. I've learned to tell myself when I feel like I'm getting there. It is what it is.
It is exactly what it is.
And you have these options. This is what could come of it. And if it's not the outlook or outcome I want, I have learned not to do that again.
Yes.
And just take a minute and breathe and think instead of just flying off the handle. I was really bad when I was a teenager about flying off the handle, shooting from the hip. About that sort of kind of decision making.
Well, and that's an interesting point. I want to touch on something really quick. So again, I have always struggled with anxiety and even a little bit of depression at times. And it has been through my practice is the thing that has kept me grounded, So I can say these things from direct experience that if right now there is a long list of things in the future for me that I'm going to have to decide or do, or moves I'm going to have to make that have been causing me anxiety recently. And I've had to take a step back and say, okay, wait a minute, I can't do anything about it right now. What I can do is attune myself, readjust, and deal with what I have right in front of me. And if I do that, I will most likely set myself on the correct path. Now you're talking about, being a teenager and flying off the handle. I'm a firm believer that I think we should be teaching meditation in schools. I think junior high, elementary, all that. I think there should be some form of mindfulness practice, because what we do is we push information into the minds of kids, but we do not tell them and give them the tools to actually live an effective, healthy life.
Right.
We're only concerned with them. How good are they going to do on that standardized test at the end of the year? We're not actually teaching them how to assimilate information about life. Now, all the things that they teach in schools are wonderful, but there is something missing, and I think that is the thing that is missing. And I think it would be wonderful to see that happen. And that's why Dr. Kramstova and I are, she runs the positive psychology group on campus, and she's just absolutely wonderful. And her and I are going to be working on some collaborations, as well as a few other people, and maybe to offer it to students, and faculty as well, because I've taught faculty mindfulness seminars. And I just think it's very important. I think it's a tool that everybody should have, just like logic and practical reasoning. We should all be able to logically think our way through a situation instead of just believing something because someone told you to. You should break down and analyze things. Right. But at the same time, you don't want to go to the extreme to where you're constantly stuck in a state of analyzing every little detail. Right. Because then you just get back into that like anxious
a whole different can of worms of anxiety.
Yes.
From a psychology standpoint, do you feel that more therapists should also try this with their patients? We talked about depression, and there's a big argument about the chemical imbalance that causes most people to go into severe depression. And I'm not a doctor by no means.
I'm not either.
But, there's some that say, some who don't understand depression would say, I hate to say get over it, but find a way to deal with whatever's triggering you, and work your way through that and try to work your way beyond and past. Right. And then the people who actually deal with depression say, it's bigger than that, you don't understand, it's...
And just to clarify, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. My undergrad's in psychology. I love the field. I find it very fascinating, and I do try to learn and take something from it. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. But
just lay that out there, y'all.
Just laying that out there. But I'm friends with a lot of people who are.
Okay.
And I like having these type of conversations. And I myself have been through therapy before. It's a very beneficial thing. So, and I think a lot of counselors and a lot of therapists are and I can't speak for all of them, but I feel that they are beginning to definitely utilize the mindfulness practice, biofeedback, or cognitive behavioral therapy. You know, these kind of things that, you know, I know little bits about, but again, I'm not a specialist, not a doctor, so. But I mean, they are being used, absolutely. Now, to the extent, I'm not sure, but I know they are. It is a thing. It is being utilized.
Okay.
Well, I wish people would shut their face about you need to get over it. Until, like, you know, how would you like somebody tell you, well, you just need to get over it? Sometimes certain people just need a little bit of time. They have been struggling, being strong so long.
Well, I think
it just takes, sometimes it just takes a person a moment just to deal and comprehend about life.
Well, I think we all put our own personal expectations on others. We project. And some people are fortunate enough to not have to deal with cognitive dissonance. You know, some people are fortunate enough to not have to deal with excessive amounts of anxiety or excessive amounts of depression or whatever it might be. So it's a world that they're not familiar with because it's not an internal experience they've had. Again, we all have our own internal subjective lives and our own subjective view of reality. You know, you start getting into the philosophy of, you know, is there objective reality? I don't know. It's kind of hard to say because you have different experiences than I have.
Right.
We can have the exact same thing. We can probably go outside and describe what we see and come back in, and we'll each have a variation of what we saw, but we all claim to have gone to the same place.
Right.
So it's just, I think educating oneself is very important, and I've kind of lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry.
If somebody feels that way,
we do it all the time.
They need to seek treatment.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, just having someone as a sounding board, to bounce ideas off of your feelings, your emotions. You know, and again, all of that in itself is a mindful practice.
Okay.
The way I see it, anyway.
All right, so we have another Facebook shout out. Miss Becky Earnhart, very proud.
Hi, Mom.
Hi. And I want to thank Miss Maddie Warren for joining our conversation today. And so, Miss Becky, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them. If you have anything, if you want to direct something to Mr. Chris, I am really enjoying this conversation. It is really helping me to try to now put these things to practice. So when I go home today, instead of focusing on I have this many pages to read, I have this many more pages to write, because next week is final for my classes. I have a final and I have a 7+ page paper that's due. So
oh, Lord.
I've been focusing literally all semester on I have a paper and a final versus I have this assignment right now. I'm focused on the end result, hoping, I need to get an A in this class, I need to get B, I need this grade in this class.
Right.
And so give us some steps. We're going to start working, even though we have like 3 minutes left in this segment, and then we'll focus on this in the last segment.
Absolutely.
Give us some steps that we can take that are rational steps to try to help realign our thinking, our thought process, try to get our mind and body in some type of cohesive, some harmony. Get some
absolutely. Well, your body is in constant state of trying to find equilibrium.
Okay.
So if, for example, if all of your organs are working properly, you don't notice them.
Yeah.
If something is off balance physiologically, you know it.
Okay.
I think psychologically it's very much the same. So what I've recommended is for beginners is 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening.
Okay.
That is 20 minutes a day total of very intently focused on a particular goal. Now, there are a lot of different forms of meditation. There are a lot of different techniques and methods. And everybody has their own thing, so I can share a few of the ones that I like and some that I've kind of developed myself and customized for me.
Okay.
But yeah, so 10 minutes in the day, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon. I usually like to do shortly after I wake up, and then around the time the sun's going down, just to kind of decompress from the rest of the day.
Would you suggest, or would you be against, say, music, ambient noises?
No, there's nothing wrong with that. So there are a lot of people that I speak to that think that meditation has to be completely silent.
Okay.
And that is true to some extent. So like I think I emailed you about the Vipassana meditation, which is it's a particular type of Buddhist meditation that's roughly, you could just call it insight meditation.
Okay.
It's insight on just the nature of yourself, cutting through all the BS and getting to the core of who you are. That particular type of meditation requires a lot of silence. It requires a lot of reflection.
Oh, wow.
But it's very, very beneficial, because a lot of the times, how many people really take the time to take a step back and just go really deep into themselves? So that's that particular one. But listening to music is absolutely fine as well. And I have some other, we can get into that more. I know we have a little break coming up.
Yes, because we have a Facebook question. This is from Tiffany Mosley. Chris, will the project that you and Dr. Chistopher are planning to introduce to A-State campus be open to the Jonesboro community?
Yes, I think so. I need to speak with Irina a little bit more, but we have been talking about doing some more community outreach type things, and hence why I'm here. She directed me to you guys. So, yeah, we definitely want to get out into the community more as a whole and maybe make a more mindful Northeast Arkansas if possible.
All right. Yes. And then we have Miss Pat Cobb watching from Lake City. Thank you so very much for that. All right. So we're going to get ready to take another quick break. When we come back, we'll wrap up with some more steps or techniques that you all can try on your own time to try to help you become more mindful of who you are and what's going on, in your life. So please stay tuned and don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We'll be right back.
We're back with Money Matters. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. Here's what to ask about a store's layaway policy. What happens if something goes wrong and you can't meet the payment terms necessary to complete your purchase? You need to be clear on finance charges, penalties, and other fees associated with missed or late payments. What happens if you change your mind about purchasing an item you put on layaway? Do you get a refund of money already deposited, a store credit, or do they keep all or part of your money? Know before you commit to buying the item. If you put an item on layaway at one price and it goes on sale, will you get the discount to the sale price? Here's the bottom line. Understand the store's policy completely before making a layaway purchase. Also, be sure to shop around and compare to find the layaway plans that work best for your financial needs and budget. For more information or for past shows, go to AURN.com. I'm Alfred Edmond Jr. for Money Matters, a product of American Urban Radio Networks.
Money Matters is made possible by the Jonesboro Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a nonprofit organization dedicated to uncompromising commitment to communities, service, leadership, empowerment. www.jonesboroalumnidst.org.
Money Matters is brought to you by Bancorp South, offering checking, savings, loans, credit cards, and wealth management. 5 locations in Jonesboro to serve you. www.bancorpsouth.com or 870-972-9800.
Blues Live for 5, Part 2 at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse. Only $5 admission. Saturday, August 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. Featuring from Dallas, Texas, Lerone Powers. What's the name of that thing? Could only last night. Lerone Powers.
And is the mother, but don't you get caught. You're gonna have to pay the cost.
Performing all of his hits.
Ain't nothing but a party. Jumping like a hole in the wall.
Lerone goes live for 5 at Legends Barbecue Smokehouse. Saturday, August 19th, 7 o'clock p.m. Only $5 admission. This event is a KLEK fundraiser.
KLEK wishes to thank Life Strategies Counseling Incorporated for helping our community through difficult times in life, such as depression, family issues, stress, and more. They are located at 1217 Stone Street, 1-866-972-1268. Details at lscihelp.com and at klekfm.org.
Post Consumer Brands is seeking to hire 5 operators at their Jonesboro facility. Post offers good starting pay, 3 weeks of paid vacation, comprehensive benefits, 401k with employee match, and frontline incentives, while working 4 days on and 4 days off. More information is available at jobs.postconsumerbrands.com. Post Consumer Brands is an equal opportunity employer.
Arkansas Early Learning offers childcare activities and educational programs to children ages 0 to 5. That gives them a head start in life. Arkansas Early Learning is in the community at no cost. Applications at arearlylearning.org. That's arearlylearning.org or on Facebook at Arkansas Early Learning.
Arkansas Early Learning is a nonprofit organization.
Did you know KLEK has a brand new streaming app? That's right, you can listen to KLEK 102.5 FM anywhere in the world. The app is available for all Android phones and tablets, as well as iPhones and iPads. Just search your app store for KLEK and download the KLEK app for free today, and don't miss a beat of the education, entertainment, and empowerment on KLEK 102.5 FM.
And now back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM.
All right, welcome back to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. We've been having an awesome conversation off the air. I wish you could join us. We're going to keep it rolling though, talking about mindfulness meditation and the mind and body connection, and just trying to help you find some balance in your life. So Chris was going over some techniques before we went to break. And off air, we did talk about the music aspect. I want to kind of get into that. You know, he was saying he likes some upbeat things. I like some more downbeat, mellow things. And Amanda likes something totally different. So
I'm all over the board.
Yeah. Well, hey, I am too. You know, I started playing guitar, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. And you know, my dad played, so he taught me some kind of basic stuff. And you know, I grew up listening to, you know, Pink Floyd, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, you know, and I evolved. Yeah, so I evolved from that, and you know, I've you name it, I've listened to it. You know, everything from like Waylon Jennings to Tool to Nine Inch Nails to Outkast to Wu-Tang Clan to whatever. I just love it.
Mozart.
I just love it all. Yeah.
Sounds like my playlist. Show music.
Oh, it is. So when someone is practicing, you know, meditation or just saying, taking a moment to be more focused, does the music matter?
Well, it's, again, you have to individualize. You have to personalize it. The idea of meditation having to be a thing that you do in solitude. Okay. You know, it is that, but it is also not that. Okay. And what I mean is that anything can be a meditation if you set the intent. Okay. The intent is what is most important. Now, again, like I said, if you sit down and you close your eyes and you go, okay, I'm going to meditate now. All right, I'm going to do it. I'm doing it now. You're fooling yourself because you're not doing anything. You're still too here. Okay. You need to get out of here. That's
promising a dog a treat and you're telling them you got to be still before you get this treat.
Exactly.
And they're like, all the focus on this treat.
Exactly. Yes. So. I do apologize. I'm losing my train of thought.
No, we do that all the time here.
So anything can be that. So for example, washing dishes by hand.
Okay.
That is a meditation that I've used when I'm feeling extra stressed out, but I need to do something. So it may be the case that, you know, you're really stressed out, you're really anxious, you're really this or you're that, and you know that you need to do something to level yourself out.
Okay.
But your body has got so much energy built up in it that you need to, you know, do something with. That's why, you know, a lot of times if you go to, you know, therapy, sometimes they'll say, hey, go out and get some exercise, you know, exert yourself a little bit, you know. That is, you know, just like how if you're everyone's had the experience of the mind affecting the body in somehow, you know. So if you're a little on edge, you may be kind of sweating, or you may be this or that, or whatever it might be. So the mind absolutely affects the body. Nobody disagrees with that. But I just, it doesn't seem like I hear people discuss how the body, what happens if you start with the body and work your way to the mind. It's almost like we've been trying to use this top-down approach. I mean, if you want to characterize the mind as being up here, we could. You know, that's an argument, I suppose. Where is the mind? It's a philosophical argument, but you know, try it from the body to the mind. You know, and that's where yoga comes in. That's where martial arts comes in, because
dance fever. Yeah,
there you go. You know, just don't put baby in the corner. Just get out there and dance, right? Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, sometimes starting with the body. So if you're, you know, for example, like with the washing dishes thing, you know, maybe I'm a little agitated and I know that I need to zen out, but I'm having trouble just sitting down and doing that. Get up and do something. Okay. But while you're doing that thing, be breathing, be focusing on nothing in particular. Okay. So if you're washing a plate, just wash the damn plate.
Okay.
Just relax and watch it. Don't think about anything else. The world very well may be falling apart around you, but in your in your immediate vicinity of 3 or 5 feet, everything's okay.
Even though there's a nuclear bomb going off outside, you're straight watching those dishes.
That fallout will reach you at some point. Don't worry about it.
That's right. It's coming. Don't worry about it.
So sometimes doing something tactical is very something you can touch. You know, is very beneficial.
Alrighty, we have another Facebook comment from Kent Cullum. He says, "Awesome, thank you for tuning in, Mr. Kent. You know him?
I do know Kent.
Okay.
I can.
Okay, so we thank him. So we have like 2.5 minutes left. So, any final thoughts?
Yeah. So in these 2.5 minutes, I'll run you through a couple of things really quick. So right out of the gate, connecting the breath to the mind. Okay. So right out of the gate, one thing that you can do is, if it helps to close your eyes, that's fine. If you're sitting down, be sure that you're kind of in an erect position. You know, your spine's straight. You're not slouching. The reason being is that if you're slouching, you're not actually going to be able to get full expansion of the diaphragm, which is at the bottom of the lungs. So, and it's what we call belly breathing. You know, if you're hunched over, a lot of the times you're going to breathe from the upper top lobes of the lungs, which is kind of, I believe, again, I'm not a doctor, but I believe there are panic receptors essentially in the top part of the lungs, the way I've understood it. I could be wrong about that, but a lot of the times people breathe from up here. You see their chest moving, but if you look at like a baby, for example, the baby is breathing from the belly because the baby has not been taught wrong. We unlearn how to properly breathe as we go. So one really quick thing you can do is just you can sit straight, you can close your eyes, and just through your nose, just and let it go. Breathe in deeply from the belly, count to 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. Go fill your lungs up starting from the bottom all the way to the top, and then just let it go. Okay. Don't try to, that's just one method. Now there are methods where you control the breath. You count to 5 to 10 on the inhale, and then you count to 5 or 10 on the exhale. Whatever your lung capacity is, because your lung capacity will grow as you practice this a little bit more.
I need to practice that.
So if you can just close your eyes, breathe in deeply, and breathe out. Breathe in deeply and breathe out. And the only thing that you need to focus on is that breathing. Don't focus on anything else. Focus on really just letting it go. Okay. Do that 10 times, and I guarantee you will at least feel a little bit better than what you did when you started. And that is the beginning steps of a mindful practice. Now you can go into the Vipassana type stuff where you really dig deep into things. Okay. And maybe we can schedule another session. I would love to come back. This has been great.
Yes. So I want to give a quick shout out to Felicia Long Cobb, Christopher.
Hey,
ask him about.
Thank you for listening to Community Conversations on KLEK 102.5 FM. Program focusing on people working to make the Jonesboro community a better place while offering viewpoints from all sides of the issues. The views expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of KLEK 102.5 FM, the voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council, or our underwriters or sponsors.